Boys, today we are back, and this is my final video before finally the UFC is back. It's fight week starting tomorrow. I will be posting all about UFC 324. Every week I'll be posting about the events. It's been a long 6 weeks. We all had to suffer through this 6 weeks. It wasn't easy, but we are finally here. And I've uploaded. I created my channel during the break. Uploaded every single day since December 19th, and it's been hard to come up with some videos, but we're finally here. We finally made it. This is the last video before UFC 324 videos will be coming out, so I'm really excited. And today I'm going to be building my card for UFC 327 on April, I think it's the 11th, in Miami. It's the final video that I had to think about before I could start really focusing on 324. So I'm going to be building a card in Miami. I know there are already some fights listed or booked. Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker, Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez, and Azamat Mirzakhanov versus Paulo Costa, which I already talked about in another video. But these are pretty good. I mean, other than the women's fight, but the male fights are pretty good. Reyes Walker is going to be, someone's getting knocked out in the first round. That's just a fact. Mirzakhanov Costa, I think someone's getting finished in that fight too, knocked out. So that'll be a banger. I'm pretty sure both of these are going to be on the main card because that's just how the UFC is. They'll put. I mean, these are both main card worthy. I'd say like on a fight night main card maybe, but Mirzakhanov Costa is a pay-per-view main card. Reyes Walker, that could be like a feature fight, but I know the UFC is probably going to have both of those on the main card. Let's hope to God that Dana doesn't try to keep trying to ruin his company by putting Suarez versus Godinez on the main card. If that happens, the Paramount era is cooked. It never took off. It was over before it started. So, if Suarez versus Godinez is on there, then we're fucked. But anyway, I'm gonna be giving you a full main card. We're gonna go off as of Walker versus Reyes and Mirzakhanov versus Costa. Those are on the prelim, so we're gonna make a 5-fight main card. And yeah, let's get right into it. Starting with the first fight on the main card, Sergey Pavlovich versus Jailton Almeida. Now, these guys have both been on the heavyweight roster and up in the top 5, top 6 of the rankings for a couple of years now, and they've never fought each other. Most, I think why they never fought each other is because the UFC didn't want Pavlovich to lose. He was a knockout artist. He was actually just a fucking guy, had aura. The guy was knocking everyone out, but. And the UFC wanted to keep Almeida, the nut hugger, away from him because all he does is shoot. He's one of the worst fighters on the roster. And I used to like Almeida because he, he used to knock people out. He used to submit him quickly, but now the guy just lays him. That last fight with Volkov was just absolutely atrocious. So I think the UFC was trying to keep these two away from each other. But now that Pavlovich is, I don't want to say anything too bad, but Pavlovich is a shell of himself. He's not the same guy. He's become a fucking... I don't want to say he's become a bum. Honestly, the guy doesn't go for it anymore. He's got no ambition to go for a fucking knockout. He just stays on the back foot and he just fucking picks away. The guy is not a finisher. The guy's not a fucking marauder anymore. He just is a pitter-pat shot heavyweight guy, which sucks to see. Tom Aspinall literally took this guy's confidence and aura and fucking ability away. Tom Aspinall literally knocked this guy's ability out of his body. I don't know what happened to him, but since, he's boring as fuck now, I think we can put him with Almeida. And, we all want to see Almeida get slammed out again for that last performance on a main card. You made us sit through that against Volkov. That was bullshit. But I think Pavlovich has the opportunity to actually get a knockout again and maybe, have more confidence on the feet and actually trying to throw some shit to, knock someone out. For the first time in 4 years, he can do that. But I think this will be... I won't say a banger, but I think it'll be a good, main card opener. And, another fight I'll talk about later, in the heavyweight division, this could somewhat tie into it. So I think this is a good main card opener. I think Pavlovich can slime him out, maybe go back to his own old self, slime out Almeida, or Almeida just nut hugs him and Pavlovich, or Pavlovich just sits on the back foot and fucking pitter-pat shots to fucking 30-27 decision, which is probably possible because that's who he is now. But anyway, moving on. Fourth spot on the main card. Give me Horiguchi versus Royval. And I know I've seen a lot of people say Horiguchi for a title shot. All right, Let's slow your fucking roll here. He beat Tagir Ulanbekov. I mean, that's a good win. He finished him too. But all right, let's get this motherfucker a few more wins. All right, we don't just because he's Japanese doesn't mean he needs to fight for the title in Japan. All right, there's Tyro. I mean, we're good, bro. All right, let's get this guy 1 or 2 more wins before we start talking about the title. Okay. I see so many fucking people talking about this guy fighting for a title. He's got 1 win in the UFC. I mean, I know he was in the UFC prior, but that was fucking years ago. All right, you've got 1 win over like a 10th ranked guy or some shit. All right. And I think Royval should get back in there. I don't know if he will because I don't know if like he got knocked out in December. So this is like a 4-month turnaround. Can't remember if he took any follow-up shots off Cop. I think he did, and he was like fine right after. He's got good recovery, so maybe he wants to take time off. But if he doesn't, I think this would be a good scrap. Both of these guys are scrappers. Royval, volume. Horiguchi, I don't remember. I wasn't watching the UFC when he was first in the UFC. I only remember him from his last fight and the Gods of Savage. So I think this would be a good little scrap. Both of these guys are kind of, in my opinion, outside of the title picture right now. You've got Tyra, Pantoja, Kopp, Van. Those are like the 4 people that are like vying for the title. These guys are like right on the outside. Same with Moreno versus Almabayev, which that fight's happening in February. But I see these 2 like outside, just outside, maybe 1, 2, possibly. Royval might need 3 fights to get back to the title. But Horiguchi's maybe like 1 or 2 away. So probably 2, but in my opinion. But I think this would be a 6 scrap, some flyweights on the main card. So, yeah, and, if each could get a big win and maybe call it the champion again. Because Royval, if the flyweights don't fight by then, which I don't have the flyweights on this card, so I think they're going to wait for Pantoja in the summer. That's what at least I want. I already talked about that, though. But, yeah, if that fight's not booked, then if Royval wins, he's got history with the champ, and Horiguchi will have 2 solid wins and call it the champ maybe. So this will be a good little scrap on the 4th spot. Moving on, featured fight: Yair versus Aljo. This is like the fight that needs to happen at featherweight right now. Yair somehow is still in the top 5. He's number 3 ranked, if you can fucking believe it. This guy's beat absolutely nobody other than Brian Ortega and Pitbull. I'll say that again. Brian Ortega and fucking Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull. All right? This guy needs to fight in the fucking top 5. And him versus Aljo would be absolute. I think it would be a good fight. Yair's dynamic on the feet. Maybe he could. I could see him like knocking out Aljo the same way O'Malley did. Like a little step back right hand or some shit like that. Good kick. He can maybe head kick Aljo. Aljo's got a head kick loss on his record. So I could see that happening. Or Aljo just dominates with the wrestling. And Aljo's a good little contender at featherweight. I know he was calling for a title shot, but bro, you're coming off a win against Brian Ortega too. Like these guys are fucking Brian Ortega's fathers. Like they need to fight, all right? They need to fight for custody of Ortega. So I think this would be a good fight. They're both in the top 5 or 6. I think Aljo's 6 and Yair's still 3 somehow. And Diego and Alex are fighting for the belt. Lerone and Mobsar are probably going to happen in London. So I think this would be, good matchmaking by the UFC. So it probably won't happen because UFC does fucking terrible matchmaking. But I think this would be a perfect fight in the featherweight rankings. If Yair wins, he proves that he's, still a top 3 fighter. And, I don't think he should get a title shot. If Diego wins, I could see the UFC giving Yair a title shot versus Diego. I'd be okay with that. But if Volk wins, we don't need to see Yair again, but it would be a big win for him. If Aljo wins, Aljo versus Alex or Diego would be a decent fight. But I think they'd go with the winner of Mobsar versus Lerone. So maybe Aljo would need 1 more. Yair would definitely need 1 more, unless it's Diego winning. So I think this would be a nice little scrap. It could be a little boring if Aljo rides him out, but yeah, Yair could make it fun on the feet. Aljo did a majority of striking against Brian Ortega, but Yair's a little different beast than Ortega on the feet. So I think this could be a fun scrap. And yeah, this would be a good featured fight. And Yair Rodriguez is Mexican. This is in Miami, so this would be, a little good cultural shit. So yeah, moving on. Co-main event. Vacant title fight, Yuri versus Alberg, light heavyweight. I think this is perfect once you see what I have for the main event. Alex, he should move up. I'll talk about that in a second, a little spoiler. But vacant title, Yuri versus Alberg. This is perfect. I think Alberg's fought in Miami before too, but I don't know. Anyway, Yuri said he's having a baby. He wants to fight in April before the baby's born. The baby's due in April. I don't know what date, but this would be perfect. Right before the birth of the son. Yuri fights for the belt, wins the belt versus Alberg. Hopefully, because Alberg, in my opinion, is boring as fuck. Other than his last win, it was a good knockout. But that Jan Blachowicz performance was boring as fuck. And who else has he beat? Alonzo Manyfield, I think. Other than that, I don't remember the fucking guy's wins. Maybe he didn't even fight Manyfield. I don't know. I genuinely can't remember another Alberg win. I know he lost to Kennedy and Nzechukwu, but that's literally all I could remember from the guy. But anyway, Yuri, my second favorite fighter. This would be absolutely cinema. Vacant title. Yuri getting the belt back. I could see it, man. It would be so fire. This fight's definitely not going the distance. This is a knockout. Every Yuri fight's a knockout, but Carlos, I think... Sadly, I think Carlos could knock Yuri out. He's a great counterpuncher. He's a good striker. He's like an Adesanya type. And yeah, I think it would be an absolute banger. Yuri brings it. He's either getting knocked out or he's going to knock Alberg out, which I think if he puts the pressure on Alberg and like starts voluming him up, I think Alberg will wilt against the cage and like he'll fold. He doesn't seem like the fighter to me that has like a lot of grit. So if Yuri puts it on him, I can definitely see Yuri finishing him, but I could see Alberg like counter-shotting him and sadly knocking out Yuri. But I don't think Alberg has that much power. Reyes is shinny as fuck, so other than that, I don't think he's too powerful, but he can. Yuri's chin is a little sus to me. So I think he could knock out Yuri, potentially. But I think this would be actually a scrap. I think Alberg would scrap it out. And yeah, this would be a perfect co-main. And it ties into the main event, which obviously is going to be Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight to fight Cyril Gane for the interim title. Aspinall's out. He's getting eye surgery. Just let's forget about Aspinall, all right? Aspinall has like fucking fumbled his entire fucking career. Part of it's not his fault with the John Jones shit, but bro, that eye poke shit, and you're gonna be out till the summer. And you had a fucking opportunity to fight Jones, possibly at the White House. It's like you fucked up your career by that eye poke shit. And I know it wasn't your fault, but like the way you handled it, like it was just bad, all right? And I'm not even trying to be like that dude, but let's forget about Aspinall for a little bit, all right? We want to see Alex at heavyweight, him versus Ciryl. This would be an absolute banger. This is going to be like Cyril's like fifth fucking title shot. And if he wins, he's going to be the interim champ. He's going to get a 6-1 versus Aspinall, which is just crazy. But there's no other fucking contenders at heavyweight. So, I mean, I'm okay with it. But Alex moving to heavyweight, everyone wants to see it. This would be such a fucking good matchup. I don't know who would win. I genuinely don't know who would win. Cyril Gane's fast as shit. Dynamic. Alex, he's got the one-punch knockout power. We've never seen... Ciryl get cracked. Even with Tom landed some decent shots on him, never got cracked. The only time I can remember is Tai Tuivasa, and that was kind of like, that wasn't as bad of a knockout a knockdown as I remember. I think maybe he was a little off balance. So we've never really seen Cyril Gane like cracked like bad. So I don't know if Alex can do it. Cyril seems to have a good chin, but this would just be cinema. Maybe Cyril Gane's too big for him, but Alex is just so like, Alex has a lot of weight, but he's so like lean, like his legs are thin as fuck. His arms are thin. His torso's like thin. Cyril Gane's like built, like buff and built. So this is sounding a little sus, but this would be just an interesting matchup. I genuinely don't know who would win. I think it's like a 50-50 fight. I think Cyril Gane's got a good shot, with the speed. Maybe he might try to grapple potentially. And Alex, obviously, he's got the one-shot knockout power. Moving up to heavyweight. First triple champ. I don't know if it would like count because it's an interim. I mean, it would count, but like, are we really calling him a triple champ if it's an interim title? But anyway, chance to have a first person to hold 3 belts in 3 different weight classes. This would be absolutely cinema. This would be such a big. This would be such a big fight too. Like 324, the main event is an interim. It doesn't have Ilya or Armin or Charles, so it's like not that good. 325, Diego doesn't deserve the next title shot, and Volk's boring as fuck. So in my opinion, that fight is like, meh. 326 is a banger. My GOAT Charles is gonna, sub Max Holloway in 1 round. That's a good fight though. Holloway, Oliveira, I'm okay with that. But this would be like the first like big like event of 2026 on the Paramount era, in Miami. UFC 327. This was the card I built. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this main event would be absolutely cinema. It's a 50-50 fight in my opinion, so I think it would be a banger. I think all the fights I listed would be a banger, but sadly I think the UFC will put Reyes and Walker and Mirzakano versus Costa on the main card, but if they don't, I think they should, take my ideas and make my card. Let me know what you guys think about my card in the comments. We're finally back. UFC 324s this week. We're going to start pumping out the videos about 324, so I'm really excited. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.